Hi, so I'm going to present my Mind Over Matter AFK Tank. The principle of this AFK Tank is to be able to take a lot of damage and mitigate it through mana, and use cast wind damage and cast wind stun, trying out a mix of both to spit out a bunch of spells and attack that way. So the important functions of this build is to use the agnostic for our life regen. That way we can concentrate on stacking mana regen. For that we use the Cloak of Defiance, and we use Valerium to be able to stay stunned, since the agnostic gives us 0 energy shield. We're constantly getting stunned. So I'm gonna start by going over the passive tree. This is a Scion to be able to be a Gladiator for the block chance, and Hierophant for the mana and Mind Over Matter, as well as Arcane Surge. You can also take Necromancer to be able to use the Spirit Offering for the block chance. This is quite nice. You can also use a Display Kitava, but you need to be able to generate corpses. So it's an additional link in your skill gems. So the tree pretty much stacks mana and life, and additional few functions. The important nodes are Dynamo, which gives you recover 20% of mana when you use a guard skill. Since we use Arcane Cloak, this is very interesting since you recover almost instantly the mana you consumed. Then Mental Overlord, which gives you the 40% elemental damage if you crit. Since we don't invest in crit, this is very nice. Obviously the Agnostic, and then a few nice mana nodes. You want to try to get as many as you can. You also want to try to get as many jewel sockets as possible. So use Healthy Mind to be able to get a lot more mana. So this gives me almost 2k mana. Then we have a Tempered Mind to be able to get more mana recovery rate. And the Legacy Tempered Spirit, which gives mana per dex. Here it gives it 90 flat mana, which is quite good. And since last week we have the Cluster Jewel, here we use Overlord to gain Fortify, and Megalomaniac, which has Mindfulness and Surge of Vitality, which are two very good nodes, as well as Chilling Presence, which is just a nice addition. And also we want to get a Watcher's Eye for clarity. The important mod is mana recovery rate. If you can get additional Mind Over Matter, it's also very good. For now I have 57 because it's not quite divided perfectly. And the rest of the jewels are Reckless Defenses. Here you can see about cannot be silenced and cannot correct the blood inflicted, which are quite good, and cannot be made. And my last jewel is res, because I wasn't res capped, so this allows me to get res capped. For the gear, you want to try to get as much mana in life and mana regeneration rate, especially. The important items are to get an enchant for Arcane Cloak, since this gives you a lot of mana regeneration. So since it's 15% mana spent, and my Arcane Cloak is at 50%, and I have twice as much mana, this is equivalent to 50% life regeneration, which is quite good. The mana regeneration rate enchant on boots is very good too, since cast wind damage taken and cast when stunned counts as a cast. You constantly have this up. Then you want the recover when you block mods for life and mana. These are very good since you're almost constantly blocking when you're hit. This allows you to recover a lot of HP. So currently I'm not block capped, unfortunately, but it's pretty high. If you use Rumi's concoction, it's almost capped. I also have a Tempest Shield, which gives me plus 2%, and a Jewel that gives me 2% spell. I'll show in the demo when my maximum block chance. The other items are the Scepter to be able to use Overlord, which you want to get a Warlord influence to be able to get the regenerate percent mana. For the helmet, I used a double influence to be able to get the percent maximum mana and percent mana regeneration, which is a Elder and Warlord mod respectively. For the amulet, you just want to stack as much mana and life and mana regeneration rate. I made this before the change in fossils, so it's a bit more difficult to get the mana recovery rate mod, but it's still possible. For a ring, you can also once again stack in mana, life, and mana regeneration rate. You want to use a cerulean ring, so it gives you the 12% maximum implicit maximum mana. Once again, for gloves, you want to try to stack mana, life, and here I use the Exotics from Incursion mod, which gives you 10% maximum mana. And for the boots, once again, life and mana. Here I have the Legacy Subterranean mode, which is I made again before the changes to fossils. You don't really need movement speed since you're AFK. Finally, for the belt, that is probably the best item I have. You want to try to get prioritize mana recovery rate if you don't want to do a double influence. This allows me to get mana recovery rate and life recovery rate, and you'll try to get as much life and mana. For the jewel, I have a legacy jewel, which goes up to 250 life and mana. Unfortunately, the cold damage to spells makes it so that I can't use elemental equilibrium. I could change it to only cast lightning and fires, but it's okay like this. And for flasks, it doesn't really matter since once again you're AFK. Rumi's concoction allows you to be block capped for extra damage and in case you're low life or low mana. And finally, a self-loss for fizz medication. Then for the links, there aren't any, you can use pretty much any spells. There are a few that I recommend, which is Tempest Shield for the additional block chance, Purifying Flame for the Consecrated Ground, obviously Clarity to be able to use the Ultra Jewel and have additional flat mana regen. I use a Riposte for Overlord, since it triggers when you block and uses your main hand. This allows me to gain Fortify. Then you want a movement skill setup. I use both Lightning and Flame Dash. You can use either, but I find the combination to be quite interesting since your character is always jumping around. And finally, the last important setup is a Arcane Cloak with Immortal Call and Enfeeble. Enfeeble greatly reduces the damage you take from enemies, which is quite good. I look for my 6th link to put AoE spells. So I have Firestorm, Shock Nova, Ice Nova, and Arc. These two setups are with cast when damage taken, so that they're guaranteed proc, and the rest are all cast when stun, which have a 70 if it's 21 or 69 if I don't know. So 69% chance to trigger at level 20. And so I'll enter a map. These can do almost every map. T16. There are a few mods that you can't do. For example, the cannot regenerate life or mana, the reflect elemental, and you can do a reduced block chance. It's a bit annoying since you get hit more. Otherwise, there are a few improvements you can make. You can try and include a natural affinity. However, since you're constantly moving with your movement skills, you don't really gain too many vines. You can see it's a bit laggy, but it's mostly because on my computer. And so you can see I don't take very much damage. Here you can see Arcane Cloak triggered, but it almost instantly recovered. And so it moves a lot, around a lot because of both movement skills. So it's hard to control if you're trying to run away, in which case you can just unsocket them and try not to get stunned. But the damage is pretty decent. It's definitely not a speed clear, but for mobs it's okay. It's obviously slow for bosses. I think the fastest is probably 15 minutes for a optimal boss. The biggest downfall, the weakness of this build is it can't deal with dot damage, since it has no way to mitigate it or trigger spells when receiving dot damage. And so all dot damage bosses are impossible to do, or bosses that do a lot of dot damage. Otherwise, I've done most T16s, except the ones that are impossible to do. I've only done Redeemer on T16, which was fine. It took about 25 minutes, half an hour. And I've done Phoenix, which was not possible. I think if you fix the build around, you can probably do it. I got it down to 25% of its life. Otherwise, I haven't tried Sirius, Elder, Shaper, or Uber Elder. I'll try to do those in the future and put a video up. I think that's pretty much it. It's a very interesting build I've been making over the past few years, few weeks, and continuously improving it. So I hope you liked the video and the build. If you have any questions, comment and I'll try to answer. And if you have any suggestions to improve it, that would be great too. I'm sure I'm missing some key points. Well, not key, but possible improvements. Anyways, thanks for watching and see you later.